Now, one of the great questions of our time to answer is, how do we get Nigerian politicians to make decisions that are in the best interests of society, with a mission to put the interest of the public above private gain rather than the other way around? That is a critical question at a time when opportunistic defections to the ruling APC appear to be the order of the day, as opposition politicians wrestle with the tangle of ambition and altruism, even as a triumphalist President Tinubu and senior APC party members continue to besmirch the opposition. The PDP and the Labour Party, with their internal cohesion in tatters as they gradually strangulate themselves, are of course vulnerable to an expansionist ruling party which is happily swooping in to feed on their decaying carcasses. The frequency and volley of defections is so high that it's difficult to keep up as the numbers keep changing. But it looks like the APC now has 71 senators, the PDP 28, Labour Party 4, NNPP 1, SDP 2, and APGA 1. And that's not counting the House of Representatives, the governors, the state houses of assembly, and the local government chairman. Well, one of those politicians who's dumped his party is Senator Neda Imasuen, who recently defected from Labour to the APC. And Senator Imasuen joins me now in the studio. Does it make you feel uncomfortable when people say you dumped your party and you defected? That word sounds so, monstrous, doesn't it?
No, Charles, it's your overall characterization as how people defect from one party to the other.
But that's how people see you.
But is that the way it is? I don't think so. First of all, let me again join others to lend my condolences to the people of Benue State. I just heard the governor talk about what happened in his state. That's quite unfortunate. And I just pray to God that the souls of those that have gone on rest in peace.
Indeed.
Having said that, defection is allowed, I think, in our polity here. It's even more allowed because we don't have what they call independent candidacy. So and the Constitution says clearly that you must belong to a political party to be able to have your aspiration realized. And so in Nigeria we have majorly 4 or 5 political parties, 3 of them prominent. That's the APC, PDP, and the Labour Party that I used to belong. Like you rightly said, talking about APC feeding on the carcasses of the decay of the other political parties, which made me laugh. If a party had come to that extent that you describe it as decayed, what will you expect those still alive in that party to do?
Nevertheless, and I don't mean to interrupt you, you don't represent yourself, do you? You represent the people of Edo South.
Yes.
And those people were well aware of the fact that the Labour Party was not in presidential office and was not the ruling party when they voted you in, but they still voted for you. What right do you have to transfer their votes to a party they didn't vote for?
Well, that's the explanation I was just giving you. First of all, those who voted for me were not necessarily only Labour Party people. APC, PDP, those who don't affiliate themselves to any political party.
No, but they know you were in the Labour Party and they voted for you.
And the Labour Party, all of them voted for me. Like you know, everything is dynamic. And every politics is local. Take it back to my state, even national. The Labour Party that we're speaking about is not what it used to be. The Labour Party that people voted for me to represent is no longer the Labour Party that they voted for. There's a shift in that understanding, and there's a shift in the mentality and in the manifesto, whatever it is, of that Labour Party. This Labour Party that has emerged now is so fraught with so much problem. And it appears that no one is willing or able to solve this problem. And you find yourself in a situation where you don't even know what to do. We were involved, I was involved from the very beginning to see if we can find any way out of this problem that Labour Party is facing. But nobody wants to yield. Everybody is holding fast to their positions.
So basically...
And now we have more than 2 or about 3 chairmen of the party.
Right. So you could have stayed in the Labour Party and advocated for change and reforms and tried to de-escalate the tension, but you decided that...
No, that's correct.
It was just too much.
That's correct. As like I said before, our constitution do not recognize independent party. So, I mean, independent candidacy. So, asking me to stay in a house where there's fire is asking me to actually have myself burnt politically.
But are you prepared to live with the possible consequences of your defection? Because some would say that, would ask you whether it was the smart thing for you to do from the point of view of not only political principles, but even from the legal point of view. Because many people, including constitutional lawyers, say that you should lose your seat as a result of this defection. I mean, how significant a legal and constitutional question is it for you?
I don't believe in that because...
Well, it's not a matter of belief, it's a matter of what the law is.
The law says that if there is such a division in your party from the top, and it poses such a situation where you can no longer operate within that party, and you are free to go. And that's exactly what just happened. But let me quickly tell you.
Yeah, but you didn't have to join the APC, did you? I mean, you could have joined any other party.
Such as?
Well, I don't know. There's the SDP, there's the ADC, there's a whole slew of others.
Again, I said all politics is local. If you come to my state, Edo State,
right,
you can only talk about 3 parties.
APC, PDP, and Labour.
And Labour. That's it. Any other political parties, they are just a one-man stand.
Well, you may well have an argument there, but during the election campaign in 2023, you accused the APC of mismanaging the affairs of this country. You talked about insecurity, rising food prices, failing infrastructure, etc. You said Peter Obi was the only one capable of remedying Nigeria's worsening situation, and that neither Tinubu nor Atiku could do this. And on the strength of that conviction that you presented to the people of Edo South, they voted you into office.
No, I didn't say Tinubu, because Tinubu was not in power. The person who was there then...
No, but you were competing against Tinubu. You were not competing against Muhammadu Buhari.
The president who was in power then was not Tinubu.
Yeah, but the person who was...
Tinubu had not emerged.
The person Tinubu...
Now that Tinubu has emerged...
The person Peter Obi was fighting against was Tinubu, not Muhammadu Buhari.
But it was based on the trajectory of APC before that period, which was headed by another president. I was not satisfied with that president and with that government. I've said that, and I'll continue to say that. But when Tinubu came on board, of course, Tinubu had not ruled the country. Now that he's in the saddle and we're able to see what he's doing, his mindset in trying to solve the problems that he met on ground, of course my opinion will change.
But you do know...
But it's changing also
right.
On the background of the fact that Peter Obi that we just mentioned, had not even had the opportunity to be there. The party which he leads is in shambles.
Yeah, but
I even wonder on what platform he's going to run.
Yeah, but I'm also wondering on what basis you're saying that you decided to move to the APC based on what you see President Tinubu doing. A lot of people in this country, including your constituents, I'm talking about run-of-the-mill people who are, you go and talk to them on the streets, they'll say to you that their lives are worse now than it was during Buhari's time. I mean, prices are higher, fuel costs are higher, there is no measurable change that they can point to and say that things are better.
Charles,
They will say to you, and I'm sure they've said that to you, that things are worse.
Charles, I would not agree with you that there are no measurable changes, because there are.
No, the measure of change.
Yes, as far as the living standards.
That person on the street.
Well, the person on the street that I represent, whether I'm in Labour Party or in APC, I will continue to represent that person or those persons, my district. It doesn't matter the platform.
Yeah, but they might think that you've compromised the principles they believed you had and for which they voted you in.
No, my principle will not change, because my principle, what is my principle? To effectively represent my people. That is basically my principle. And how do I represent people from the standpoint of weakness? Right now, like I said before, Labour Party is not standing as a viable party. The people that I represent, when I look again and see how do I better represent these people, do I do so in opposition in such a manner that I'm so weak? Or can I do so in a situation where I am now, where I can effectively represent them? So for me, it's about the people mostly.
Well, for a lot of people, they will say, and I don't know whether that's you in particular, but they'll say that a lot of the defecting politicians, it's not about the people, it's about them. Wasn't there an attempt because you're talking about your constituents, I mean, wasn't there an attempt by them to recall you a few months ago, citing your alleged failure to represent their interests and saying that your tenure has been marred by corruption and gross betrayal of public interest? And even the Labour Party as well demanded your recall for backing the suspension of Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan.
I thought I was waiting for you. I was waiting
accusing
for you.
Let me just make the point.
Yes.
Accusing you of being the willing tool used to perpetuate what they say was injustice on Senator Uduaghan.
Okay, I was waiting for you to mention that.
Right.
When you said people sat to say they want to recall me, it's not because of my ineffectiveness, it was because of that saga.
Yeah, but that's not what they said.
But that's what it is. I mean, that's what you don't know. That's what I'm telling, that's what it is. And these individuals they're talking about now, have they not calmed down? Are they still talking about it? The answer is no. And again, I would have gone into the Natasha issue, but as you know, the court has actually asked us not to discuss that matter because it's still before it.
Well, there's a way you can skirt around that issue.
Well, by
well, let me tell you how I think you can,
okay.
and you can tell me whether. I mean, I expect I know what your answer is going to be,
okay.
But you are the chairman of the Senate Committee on Ethics and Public Petitions, and you oversaw the petition involving Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan. I'm sure you're well aware that there is still considerable political debate around that issue, mainly sort of centering around concerns that your committee ignored a court ruling, the same court you're now talking about obeying because we have you sitting there. But you ignored that court ruling and went ahead with your investigation and subsequently suspended Senator Uduaghan. And I'm wondering whether, with hindsight, you should have handled it differently.
No, Charles, no. Are you also aware that the same court again reversed itself and said it was okay that we went on with that case?
The problem is that
the same court.
Yeah, the problem here is that
sat and then reversed itself to say that it was okay for the committee.
There are so many decisions that are taken by these courts that they end up confusing.
Yeah, but I can only deal with the one concerning this very matter.
And so your point is?
My point is that I would not speak about the Natasha issue because it's before the law court.
Right. And very briefly, if you don't mind my referring to something which hopefully you can speak about, you were barred from practicing law in the state of New York in the US after a petition was filed against you for neglecting a legal matter entrusted to you after being paid for your services. Did you ever file for that disbarment to be lifted and for you to be reinstated to practice, or you just felt it was something you kind of left?
First of all, again, I'm glad that you brought this matter up.
Right.
I'm saying so because there were so many lies flying around.
Well, that's why it's important for you to clear the
Yes.
air on that.
Some said they have been arrested in the United States, that I stole
Well, I
clients.
didn't hear anything about you being arrested.
That I stole clients' money, the worth of 150 million US dollars, and then absconded from the US, and I won't be able to go back there again. I just came back. I was there for 3.5 weeks.
Well, I can testify that you did go to the United States.
Thank you. Now, the issue itself. What happened was that when I left my old office, again, the law says, or the rules of the bar says that if your clients, you must keep their file. Even if you've closed the case, you must keep their files for minimum of 7 years before you can discard with them. And so I had these files in the sub-basement of my office, 310 Atlantic Avenue in Brooklyn. And I came to Nigeria on vacation. While I was in Nigeria, the landlord, for whatever reason, went down there, brought all these files, and left them on the curb.
On the curb?
On the curb.
What happened? You didn't pay your rent or something?
And then
I don't understand.
somebody, interestingly,
because that's the only way the landlord would go in there and take the things out.
It's his house, it's his building. Interestingly, somebody now called the Eyewitness News Channel 7, saying that an attorney had discarded important files belonging to clients with their social security numbers and the rest. And it was on Eyewitness News when a friend of mine called me in Nigeria and said,
You're an eyewitness?
Yes, I'm an eyewitness. I said, for what? And he said to me that your files, this is what they're talking about. When I came back to the US, again, the bar sent people to go remove those files from the curb. When I came back to the US, I was told about it, and I just wrote a very simple thing of what happened. Now, I didn't see it as anything that is so serious, honestly, and then they took the decisions, and I would have appealed it, but I refused to appeal.
Did you get those files back?
No, of course, the Bar Association, the NBA, the New York board took the files in their custody. I would have appealed that case. The reason why I didn't appeal, because I was already my way out of the country anyway. Right. And so I just said, I'm not coming back here to practice law. It's a civil thing. It's negligent. If you go back and read the decision of the board, they said negligent. It wasn't about stealing anybody's money. It wasn't about misconduct with any client or any sort. It was just about the files that were left carelessly on the curb.
Right. But you're still disbarred in New York.
The process
you didn't bother to apply.
Well, because of what this issue, the process of reinstatement is kicked into place.
So
I'm following all that up
Okay,
now.
because I was going to say, you probably say to them, well, I've got a better job. I'm a senator in Nigeria, and therefore I couldn't care less.
Again, just for this reason,
that
I've started the process of trying to reinstate
license. Well, I'm glad you have. I mean, and let's return to the issue of you leaving Labour and going to the APC. What happens if in the APC, the people who've been there all along resist the arrival of new entrants like yourself and refuse to give you, for instance, a seat for re-election?
Well, then so be it. But we're not there yet. But if that be the case, so be it.
So how do you anticipate Nigerian politics evolving from here as we approach 2027?
For this short period of time, anticipate evolving? I don't know where we're going to evolve to. But for now, what I can see is that every political party should look for a way to sit tight and believe in itself. Because I've come to realize that a lot of people...
Yeah, but you didn't believe in Labour. You're saying sit tight and believe in themselves.
I was not in the leadership.
But you didn't believe in Labour and you left.
I was not in the leadership. I was not the chairman of the party. I was not the secretary
of the
party.
But you're an elected official.
Yeah, but do they even listen to us? Do they even listen to us? Did you not hear the chairman said, those of us who went to...
Which chairman are you talking about?
I'm talking about Abure.
Right.
Did
Well,
you
he's
hear
not
him?
recognized as the
Of course
chairman
I
by a
will
lot of
recognize
people.
him. No,
Do
I
you
don't.
recognize
No, I
him?
don't. No, I
so
don't.
why are you calling him the
Well,
chairman?
because in his own capacity, what he thinks of himself. When we went to Abia for a meeting to be able to resolve this stuff, what did he say? He said we're going to suspend and expel all of us from the party. For us having the audacity to go to Abia to discuss how we're going to rescue the party. Is that the kind of leadership we're talking about? No. And so evolving, I believe, and I hope that we can get the right people to head political parties. If we have people that have ulterior motives, and the motive is not that of the party, those who cannot put party over themselves, then we'll begin to have the problems that we're having.
Okay. On that note, I want to thank you very much indeed.
Thank you, Charles.
Senator Neda Imasuen, who has defected from Labour to the APC. He is, of course, also the chairman of the Senate Committee on Ethics and Public Petitions. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Charles.
And we appreciate your coming in
Thank you very
to
much.
us.
Thank you.
That's it for this edition of Arise Prime Time. Join us again tomorrow. From me and the entire team here in Abuja and Makadi, bye-bye and thank you for watching.